Well, Eagle fans are either going to love it or hate it. And we're about to get into all of it. So let's get into it.
We better do it. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So a lot to go over here regarding the Philadelphia Eagles this week. The questions we have this week, we've got some information at practice, certain players coming back. This offense needs to start rolling a little bit better. You know, what's going on at linebacker. So definitely a lot here. The big discussion really this week between Eagle fans has really been Nakobe Dean. I've seen a lot of back and forth. I've seen a lot of push and pull, and for me, I've been going back and forth on it. I'm like more in the middle, but at the same time, I'm on probably the side that a lot of people don't agree with. Okay, and that's Nakobe Dean potentially could start this week. Potentially Nicholas Morrow could be back to practice squad. As much as Morrow has played at a solid player, has played at a pretty good level. Obviously, his best game was a couple games ago against Washington. But it's hard for me to look at Nakobe Dean and say that as soon as he gets back, he's going to ruin the mojo to this linebacker core. When things are working right now, it sucks that we have to break this up, okay? And if Nakobe Dean was a first-round pick, then I would say that he has to play, all right? There's no doubt about it. But because Nakobe Dean's a third-round pick, and we have him for a few more years, and there's just time on our side right now, okay, putting Nicholas Morrow on practice squad is not my favorite thing to do. Because at practice the other day, it was Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham at the start of practice as the first, duo of linebackers that was in there. Okay, I know it's questioning. I know I'm just saying this. Okay, I know that Nakobe Dean will get his shot. Okay, it could be this year. You know what I mean? If a linebacker gets hurt or, Nakobe Dean will get some playing time regardless, I think he will still play because you're not putting Nakobe Dean on the practice squad. Okay? If it was up to me right now, keep what you have right now between Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow and try to keep Nakobe Dean as the backup, that's active on the roster. You can literally let go of Rashad Penny, put him on practice squad, and protect him for weeks to come. What they're doing with Rashad Penny, I have no idea. And he was back at full practice, so I feel like he's just wasting a roster spot at this point. And I totally respect the people that want Nakobe Dean to play, and I understand it 100%. Okay, I have nothing. It's just that because the linebackers have been so consistent and have been working so well, it's really hard for me to tug on the other side and, pull the idea that, let's just put Nicholas Morrow back to practice squad because they have to protect him because some team will go after him. Some team will try to pry him off the roster. There's no doubt about it. So it's really tough for me. If they're all active and Nakobe Dean's on the active roster and they have all these guys on the roster and nobody's on practice squad, I am fine with that too. And yes, I want Nakobe Dean to get more playing time, but the one thing we have to worry about is he's already been injured 2 times. We can't risk the fact if Nicholas Morrow gets taken off the roster or something stupid happens, and then we're back to square one. Because potentially, I think at the end of this year, once the season is over, I feel like Zach Cunningham or Nicholas Morrow will be back. And it looks like, Nicholas Morrow could be a re-sign candidate going into next season with the Philadelphia Eagles, which isn't a bad thing. Got to see what these linebackers do the rest of the year. I mean, we're only going to week 6. We haven't even reached half the season yet. But the defense has been playing pretty well. The adjustments have pretty well. I just hope that Nakobe Dean, I know the practice window opened for him. I just hope when Nakobe Dean does come back into the lineup that he's not going to have issues because obviously beginning of the season, I know the linebackers, I think coverage-wise, I think Zach Cunningham's done a good job with some coverage when, picking up some slant routes or whatever. Nakobe Dean had some issues the first couple weeks. I think this whole team had issues the first few weeks of the season because of the offseason and guys not getting enough playing time. And plus, Nakobe Dean missed a lot of time this offseason. He was hurt already, and missed a lot of the joint practices and I think only made the one preseason game or whatever it was. So there wasn't much time for Nakobe Dean to really prepare himself for the season. I mean, you only have OTAs, and then the Eagles don't have minicamp because they're one of 3 teams that doesn't have minicamp. Then they have training camp, so time was definitely lost. So him coming fresh off like an injury this week, we'll see what happens. But I would try to keep Nakobe on the roster on top of Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham. They all have to be active for game days every single week. And if it's not Nakobe Dean's time to shine, then it's not. You know what I mean? The Eagles have a lot of time with, a few more years more with him. So I'm not worried about it that much, But when things are working the way they are, it's hard for me to say that Nakobe Dean should just, they should get Morrow out of there, bring Nakobe Dean in, and call it a day. It's just, to me, I just feel like it's not giving somebody a fair shot. And I think the Eagles are going to start Nakobe Dean this week. It's going to happen because if Olamide Zaccheaus could go into a game and play good for a couple weeks, and as soon as Quez Watkins gets healthy, Olamide Zaccheaus is benched immediately. They didn't question Quez fighting for his job, nothing. I mean, Zaccheaus just lost his wide receiver 3 spot, and Quez Watkins got right in there like it was nothing. Okay, I know a lot of fans aren't happy with him right now, but from what it looks like, and it kind of pisses me off, is that Nicholas Morrow is probably going to be benched this week or put on practice squad. We're going to find out how they do this. I think all 3 of them should be active. I think all 3 of them have to be active the rest of the season, okay? Because now with Nakobe Dean coming in, if he could kind of play up to par, then you'll have some good depth behind it. So if they give him the start, I really hope he plays well. I hope he doesn't ruin the linebacker core. I think the one thing about this secondary, at least, that has had issues is with communication on getting the play and some of the, calling out the, the calls and the, I think that's been one of the biggest problems, the call-outs on defense. Communication between the secondary has kind of faulted us on bad plays at certain moments. So look, I'm not like I'm mad about it, but I'm not like, he shouldn't, Nakobe Dean shouldn't play, but I hope he comes in and starts playing well. And he's coming off an injury, so I have to be fair to that. But he's practicing. So that's what it looked like. It looked like at practice. It could change at the end of the week. We'll see what happens. We got the New York Jets on Sunday at 4:25, so we'll figure out what happens with that. Fletcher Cox comes back. He's been at a light practice all week, but back from the back, some back issues last week, and was only going to be out a week. But Marlon Tupelutu was out with the triceps. He's still out. I don't think Tupelutu even practiced yet. But yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles did well without Fletch. They gave Jalen Carter more reps, which I thought they were going to do, and they did. But Fletch coming back is great. You add more reinforcements to your pass rush, and definitely need to try to get some hits on Zach Wilson this week. And probably this is going to be the game where hopefully you get a lot of turnovers and hopefully you get a lot of sacks in this game. That's what I'm saying. But, some things don't turn out the way you want them to be, because I don't want Zach Wilson to look that good going into Sunday. And I hope they don't make him look that good, because I think other than Daniel Jones, I think Zach Wilson is the second worst quarterback on our schedule right now. And I think that's just the total truth. But Fletch is playing like he's 26. I mean, I think before last game, before he was out, he was leading the league in quarterback hits. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think Fletch signing to a 1-year contract this year, he was going to be some big focal point monster this year, but he's played really well. He's been very disruptive in the backfield. He's got a couple sacks for the season, I think, or a half a sack probably, or something like that. I don't really know his statistics for the year, but he's been disruptive as everybody else. So to have Fletch next to Jalen Carter again back in the lineup is great. Balance out both these defensive lines really well. And I think it's working out. So it's good to have Fletch back, and probably will be ready for this week. Lastly is the offense, okay? Between Jalen Hurts, Brian Johnson running this offense. I got to say this, as much as I read a lot of Eagle fan comments, a lot of people are pissed off at this offense, and I'm kind of dealing with the process of Brian Johnson and getting Jalen Hurts into a rhythm in this offense. This team can get pass happy at times, which I actually like a lot, but sometimes it gets us into trouble on certain, you just want to throw a dagger downfield, just because, to get a PI call or something, which can lead to turnovers, which it has happened. It happened last game. Hurts has missed some wide open guys, but I don't think he's regressing at all. If somebody tells me that Jalen Hurts is regressing, they're out of their minds. I think it's more of, I don't think the Eagles are 100. I don't know. it comes to the position groups on offense, I think the offensive line is great. The running backs need certain substitutions at the right time. The red zone is a huge problem right now, and they're putting in, I think the play design for red zone is horrible. They don't run outside. It's inside zone, or Hurts is going to run with his feet. There's nothing wrong with Jalen Hurts using his legs. I think this team has been a really resilient team, okay? I got to say that. I know everybody's going to nitpick at the play calling, and trust me, sometimes I don't agree with it. I don't agree with when we get into red zone, we take DeAndre Swift out. I don't get why Gainwell is the main choice for red zone. I don't. Or Rashad Penny at this point. Like, when is this guy going to play a game? When is this guy going to share some of the carries, take some heat off everybody else, and, get his body banged up a little bit? I mean, maybe they have him on reserve for when we get into the cold months. Maybe we can get into December. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I can really think of when it comes to Rashad Penny in this offense. You know what I mean? If Rashad Penny was going to make the active roster and he wasn't going to be here, then they would have just cut him at this point. But they didn't. He was on the roster and, had some snaps in the first game against the Patriots because DeAndre Swift was tired. Even Boston Scott's really not getting any chances on offense. So I'm wondering, like, you know what I mean? Even the Patriots game, they used Boston Scott and Swift, and I really liked that duo a lot. You know what I mean? You had two quick guys at different sizes, and I thought it worked out. Boston Scott goes out with a concussion. He's out for a game. Then he comes back, and they don't use him. Like, I feel like the Eagles are figuring out who to use on specific plays, running back wise. But the red zone with Gainwell, it's not the best talent you have. If it's the red zone and you're on the goal line or you're on the 2-yard line, I don't care. But when it's like, you're on the 10, you're on the 15, like, you want to get those tough yards. They gotta stop using Jalen Hurts' legs at moments. I'm not saying don't use his legs at all, but I gotta say Jalen Hurts has got us out of sticky situations. Talk about a quarterback putting a team on his back. Jalen Hurts has done that on third down a lot with his legs, and, there was a couple scary hits. He's been hit a good amount this year, so he's got to stay healthy. I thought that one where he got hit by 2 defenders on each side with his ankle or his knee, that one kind of freaked me out a little bit, kind of brought me back to the Carson Wentz Rams game in 2017. I think he's bailed us out a lot, and that's just who he is as a quarterback. Doing it in red zone, when it's 3rd and long in red zone, and, you just want to just snap the ball and do a QB run design, I can't stand it. I think it's one of the biggest cop-out plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what I mean? It's just, you put the right running backs in, run an outside run. You know what I mean? Like, it's just literally, it's either inside zone or it's a screen pass that goes nowhere, which I can't stand either. There's a lot of people to get the ball to. Open up Dallas Goedert, which they already did last game, thank God. So guys are going to get their shots, and use a big body like Dallas Goedert. Use anybody at this point. I feel like, Swift will be in. If the Eagles, Swift is only used in the first half mostly, okay? When Swift gets in, they get into red zone, they score real quick, and Swift gets the touchdown. They make it look so damn easy. But then in the second half, and I understand you want to rest DeAndre Swift. I get it 100%. But on certain situations, certain third downs, certain, in the red zone, you're not using your best, really most explosive, DeAndre Swift could turn on a dime at 100% speed. There's just some things that just annoy me a little bit. And you only got a few weeks until it's like half the season already. By week 7, week 8, you're already at half the season, and this offense has to be rolling on all cylinders. Unless it doesn't, if the Eagles play like this all year, where they're just in close games every single game, it doesn't mean that they can't win a playoff game like this, but, mistakes are definitely made. There's definitely penalties at times. Hurts has missed some wide open guys here and there, like I said before. He missed Quez Watkins, I think, on 1 third down that was overthrown that would have got us in the field goal range, or would have had a touchdown or a field goal, because we would have had a fresh set of downs, and then missed Quez Watkins in the end zone wide open, which, he was to Hurts's eye side on the right side of the end zone, or not all the way to the right, but the middle right side of the end zone. So it's all nitpicking at the end of the day, but yeah, a lot of Eagle fans think this offense is not up to par right now. I mean, before the Rams game, the Eagles were 5th in points, 5th in points. I mean, that's not, it's top 5, but the team isn't playing at a high level right now. And it's amazing how much better they could be. And they're not peaking too early. And I get the coaches don't want the team to peak too early, but you don't want to look horrible either. The only way that the media is even talking about the Eagles is because they're 5-0 right now. That's the only reason why they're talking about the Eagles. If the Eagles lost a game or something, they wouldn't care, because they're one of two undefeated teams between the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. This is the best team in the NFC, 100%, and I totally believe it. Do they make some stupid play calls? Sure. Did I like the bubble screen from Quez Watkins? I didn't like the play call in general, and it actually would have worked, but, Quez ran around two blockers that were right in front of him. You don't run through, the hole, through your blockers that are right there. Be patient, but, you're right there. You got the speed to do it. So that's all I really got to say. I think we've shown a ton of resilience. Jalen Hurts has got it out of us, sticky situations, and honestly, there's a couple issues, but everything is fixable. I've been saying this every week, every time the offense steps on the field, and there's little bits of problems that we have, little tiny things that the Eagles can fix. We're not in a bind offensively. There's no excuse. The roster should have scored more points last week. They should have scored another 2 touchdowns and a field goal last week. They should have had 40 points on the Rams. You know what I mean? We're still looking for that complete game from the Philadelphia Eagles. Are we going to get it this week against the Jets? I don't know. I mean, I feel like they just keep these games way too close. I know the defense is a whole nother story, but the adjustments were good in the second half, so hopefully Desai will kind of keep that thing going a little bit. You get some reinforcements back this week, and, hopefully, I mean, if there's one position I really want to succeed a lot offensively, it's wide receiver 3. Okay, I think the one thing that they like about Quez Watkins more than Zaccheaus is that they think that Quez has more burner speed, which I definitely believe he does. Okay, I think Quez is definitely a burner on this team. Okay, it's just opportunities getting him the football, and little stupid mistakes as a football player that he makes, and like I said, Hurts missed him on a couple times. I can't put that on Quez. People will hate Quez because of one thing that happens. You know what I mean? If it's a Super Bowl catch that goes through his hands, then yeah, it's a big deal. But if it's on a bubble screen and that could have went into, got us a little bit, some points. I don't know if we score on that drive or not. I don't remember. I got to look back at the game, but people will call him out and bench him in 2 seconds. They like Quez more. You could tell they do like Quez Watkins a lot more, because if they like Zaccheaus more and want him to keep rocking with Zaccheaus, then I get it. I understand Zaccheaus has a touchdown. He has more yards. Quez has been hurt. I get it. He's got, this is the last year of Quez's contract. And for me, inside my heart, I don't think Quez is going to be a re-sign candidate this year, after this year, because really, it's not hard to find a wide receiver 3 with speed. It's really not. I think the Eagles could go into they could do anything going into next offseason to go get a guy like that. I don't think it's to put that much money into that position, and I don't think Quez is going to earn that much of a contract. But who knows? They might like Zaccheaus a lot better. I don't know. I think they're good as is right now, depending what they do before the trade deadline. And wide receiver 3 is like my biggest question offensively, because I think it just needs to be, we need more production from that group. I get it. You know what I mean? So I understand you can't get the ball to everybody every game, and I get it. It's either going to be A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. It's either, and you can at least involve Dallas Goedert, which you can involve Dallas Goedert every single game. So I think this week is Devontae Smith's matchup this week and Dallas Goedert's matchup this week, and I know for a fact the Eagles can run on the Jets. There's no doubt about it. The screen game with DeAndre Swift would be deadly. Not tight end screens, not Devontae Smith, bubble screens. I'm saying use Swift on a forward screen, whatever, a regular screen pass. I think the screen game, I think Denver was very successful with that, against the Jets this past week. So, and this isn't Denver. This is the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the best team the Jets have faced this season, up this par on their schedule. So that's all I'm really hoping for when it comes to both sides of the ball. Next few weeks, they got to get their shit together, and this thing has to be rolling. So now we're not sitting here complaining about the same shit every single week, and it just gets like that sometimes. So let me know what you guys think about all the information I've given to you here. What do you guys think about Nakobe Dean starting and Nicholas Morrow being benched, or if they're keeping guys on the active roster, if they're keeping everybody? Brian Johnson, the offense. What's the biggest problem with the Philadelphia Eagles right now? Let me know in the comment section below. You guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes about, follow, peace out, guys. Peace.